Okay, obviously the whole idea about getting together is to launch the next phase of our diet challenge. This is the Paleo-Zone challenge. Okay, so for all of you guys that weren't with us back when we did the original diet challenge, that was just straight up paleo, okay? Just trying to change the food choices. Now we're going to take it the next step further and start learning how to properly balance the macronutrient profile of the things that we're eating to take advantage of the hormone response that you get from eating food. And we're going to talk about this a little bit, and I usually get carried away, so if I get too sciencey and nerdy, let me know, because I do get excited about glucagon, as I found out on a recent post. Alright, so just real quick, just to, for people that aren't familiar with the Paleolithic style of eating, okay? The Paleolithic style of eating aims to model our diets after what we believe our ancestors have ate and essentially evolved on. And that was a very simple diet of meat, vegetables, specifically root vegetables, nuts, berries, some fruit, little starch. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. No sugar. Okay. It's pretty basic. Okay, so anything that you would have been able to get your hands on as a hunter-gatherer, okay, is most likely the best way for you to eat. Okay, so obviously it doesn't include a lot of the main staple items in our typical Western diet. Predominantly breads. Okay, so the do not eat list for paleo.
I'll take 4 pieces before I get it.
Do not eat grains. Okay. And I'm not going to get into the reasons behind it unless you really care to know. If you care to know, I'll explain. Okay. Does anybody care to know? Yeah. Grains. Don't eat grains.
Afterwards.
Yeah, if you have questions and you just want to know why, there's plenty of information on the website. But that includes bread, rice, oatmeal, corn.
So you're saying we don't eat breakfast?
No. What I'm saying is that we're going to find different substitutes for those things. Okay. When we did the first challenge, the idea was to start replacing a lot of what we consume. Now, in the Western diet, okay, the American diet, we eat a ton of grains. Okay, it's in everything. Okay, we eat it for breakfast, we eat it for lunch, we eat it for dinner. It's hard to avoid bread. It comes with everything. It's hard to eat, avoid corn. It's in everything. But once you can start eliminating those things, for a lot of different reasons, it benefits your diet. One, you're usually eliminating higher glycemic carbohydrates. Okay. Usually, most grains have an abundance of carbohydrates. Okay. Second, when we start getting into the whole nerdy paleo thing, you're avoiding things like saponins, leptins, and different anti-nutrients that are very present in grains in high quantities. Okay, and those things can cause leaky gut syndrome, otherwise referred to as celiac disease. Okay, but grains is probably the number one thing, and as far as I'm concerned, the most important thing to start eliminating out of your diet. Okay. The paleo purist will also eliminate beans out of the diet. Okay. Dairy. And it used to be potatoes, but they just changed it. Okay. As long as you peel the skins off of your potatoes, you can still consume potatoes. If you eat a lot of potatoes, make sure that the bulk of your potatoes are sweet potatoes. Okay. Yams. Better in terms of their.
They gotta be
You
peeled.
still do, take the skin off those too?
Yeah, don't eat the skins.
Same white.
The reason, like beans, okay, here's the interesting thing, okay, I'll explain real quick. These are very modern introductions into our diet, okay? It actually launched us out of the Paleolithic age into the Neolithic age with the advent of modern agriculture, which allowed for civilization as we understand it and know it today to thrive, okay? The reason it did that is we no longer had to hunt and follow and track big herds of buffalo and whatnot. Okay, you could settle in an area because grains, beans, and different things like that can store for a very long time, and we could survive the winter months eating predominantly these things. Now the reason these things do not spoil, okay, if obviously you bought a bag of pinto beans, and I still know this because I have a bag of pinto beans sitting in my cupboard that's about 4 years old, they don't spoil. It's because there's certain components on that bean that prevent them from being destroyed by funguses, molds, different things. And that's what makes them so valuable in terms of surviving the winter, is you obviously can't store an apple for longer than a few weeks before it starts to rot. But anyway, those same components that prevent the funguses and different things from breaking down those beans and essentially destroying them they don't get cooked out of the food. You still ingest these essentially bad proteins that are present in that, and it causes a lot of problems. So that was the first phase, okay? My big concern with paleo is eliminating the grains, okay? I'm not a big fan of eliminating dairy personally. I find I don't necessarily have a reaction to dairy like some people might, okay? But focus on eliminating the grains. Now it goes without saying, okay? We are trying to eat a clean diet, so that obviously does not include cookies, your obvious sodas, and your whatever, the Red Bulls and stuff like that, and all the junk that's obviously junk, okay? Because that should go without saying. Okay, we're trying to eat clean, then obviously we don't have a place for these at all.
No beer.
Right? No beer.
Donuts.
Okay.
Oh, that's so
No beer, donuts.
You just sloppy here.
Yeah.
So we gotta drink foo-foo drinks, berry drinks.
I'm gonna make this better for you. I'm gonna make it better for you. Okay, all right.
Sean kept me in the game here.
Wine. Yes.
Wine is sort of paleo, and believe it or not, so is distilled beer, otherwise known as whiskey. Okay. Because the proteins, the gluten, all that stuff that you're trying to avoid from beer, which is essentially like liquid gluten, gets distilled out, okay, in the distillation process. You can consume that if you're looking to be a purist paleo eater. Now, the zone. So this is essentially food choices, okay, what we're looking at. Now we're going to start talking strategy, like how to eat, okay? And that's the zone aspect of this, okay? It was essentially researched by a doctor named Barry Sears. If you get into the zone, you'll see his name everywhere because he's the pioneer of the zone diet. And he didn't necessarily invent it, he just discovered that there's an ideal ratio of macronutrients that allow for our bodies to respond in the most beneficial way from the foods that we eat. Okay, and that happens to be a ratio of 9 grams of carbohydrates, 7 grams of protein, and 1.5 grams of fat. Okay. Now, what he did to make life easier on all of us is he said, well, if that's the proper ratio, I'm just going to put this all together and call that a block. So we refer to this as a block. All right. Now, just to give you guys a little bit of endocrinology 101. Okay, when you consume a carbohydrate, okay, it gets broken down into a sugar. Your body deals with that sugar by releasing a hormone called insulin, okay, which is also known as a storage hormone. And what it'll do is it'll grab a hold of that sugar, which in large quantities in the body is toxic, okay, and it'll do one of two things. It'll either store it in liver, muscles, body fat. Okay? Now, between your muscles and your liver, you have a storage capacity, depending on your size, okay, of 20 to 60 grams at any given point. Okay, a lot of times that's already full. So what happens is when you eat too many carbs, whatever does not go to muscles and liver goes straight into body fat. Now, before we talk about some of the dangers of that, let's talk about protein. What happens when you eat protein? Your body releases another hormone, a different one, called glucagon. Sometimes referred to as a release hormone. Okay? For body fat reasons. Now these two hormones work in tangent with one another. They're referred to as axis hormones. They essentially do different things. But one of the most important aspects of these two hormones is they are what are referred to as endocrine hormones. Okay? They float around in the blood. And what they do, depending on their concentrations, is they will essentially have the ability to turn on and off other hormones. Okay? And those other hormones are referred to as site-specific. In the literature, if you ever get into the zone books, they're referred to as eicosanoids or eicosanoids, however you would say that. And these are very potent, very specific hormones that control everything from heart rate, blood pressure, body fat percentage, okay, growth hormone production, blood vessel dilation, and you name it. You name it. It's all controlled by hormones. Everything in your body is controlled by hormones. Now, whether or not the heart rate is up or down, okay, is going to be dependent on those specific axis hormones. One turns it up, the other one turns it down. Okay. Now, the interesting thing is that they're all dependent, whether they're on or off, based on the level of insulin and glucagon on the blood. Now, it just so happens when you have elevated levels of insulin in the blood, you also have all the negative effects happening, be it increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, decreased dilation of your blood vessels, increased body fat storage, etc. Okay. Now, what's important to take from this is that if you can control insulin, which is considered the great orchestrator of all the other things that happen internally, you can control essentially everything that happens in your body. All right? And the way you do that is by balancing this and eating that way. Okay, when you eat 9 grams of carbs in this ratio of 7 grams of protein and 1.5 grams of fat, insulin and glucagon are going to be produced at optimal levels. Okay, and all these other things associated with our lifestyle, health, the way we look, are going to be working the way we want them to work. All right. Now, here's the interesting thing, to me at least, is there's a slight curve. Okay. All right. This would be that perfect ratio right here. Okay. That it's essentially almost a 3/4 ratio. You've got a little give or take, a gram or two. Okay. If you lean a little bit more towards let's say a high protein over here, this would be high carb over here. Okay. You can still fall within this zone. Okay, and that's zone optimal. That means everything that we want to be happening internally is happening. Now, when you start falling out here on the extremities, that's when things usually go awry. Okay, you'll start storing stuff. Now, just as an example, okay, the modern day American Western diet, okay, consists predominantly, as we know, because we eat that way, or we used to, a lot of breads, a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of refined processed foods. We have an abundance of carbohydrates, meaning an abundance of insulin to deal with. Okay. Insulin, because I already told you, is a storage hormone, takes those carbohydrates and either puts in liver or muscles. Now, like I mentioned, you only have a capacity to store 20 to 60 grams at any given point. Most of the time, it's pretty much full anyway. So what ends up happening is you take all of that excess sugar that's broken down from this excess carbohydrate that you're eating, and you store it in fat tissue, okay, adipose cells, and you store it, that's stored energy. Now here's the problem, okay? When you've eaten a big carbohydrate meal, let's say, you're a marathon runner and you still subscribe to the whole carbo loading thing, and you're eating just ridiculous amount of pasta and breads and everything else to really just destroy how well you're going to do the next day, but you don't know that. Okay, what happens is you end up, maxing out that, and then we store all the rest of this. Now, insulin doesn't just disappear. Okay, when it's done dealing with sugar and it's stored it all into body fat, it doesn't go away. Okay, it actually floats around in the blood for hours. Okay. Now here's the kind of crummy thing. Okay, with an elevated level of insulin and the fact that it's a storage component, no matter how much fat you have and energy stored in your body fat, you do not get access to it. Okay, it blocks the ability of anything to exit those cells. Okay? Elevated levels of insulin prevent access to stored energy and body fat. So, here's the thing. You've got the brain, and and then we'll call it the muscles and organs and the rest of the body, okay? Muscles, organs, whatever. The brain only functions off of one source of energy. Anybody know what it is? No, sugar. Brain only can process sugar. So that's food for the brain only. What do the muscles work off? Organs work off? Well, they work off two things: sugar and body fat. Okay, fat. I won't call body fat fats. Now, fats are like the jet fuel. That's what they work best on. Okay. The problem is that when you essentially shut off access with an elevated level of insulin, okay, you do not have access to this. Well, the muscles need to run on something. They run on sugar. Okay. The muscles are large. They're inefficient. Okay. They blow through this sugar very quickly. Any sugar that you just ate and was stored in that liver and muscles gets burned up really, really quick. Okay? As soon as the brain, which can only run off of sugar, mind you, senses a decreasing level of sugar in the blood, it gets what? It gets lethargic. Okay? It gets kind of nauseous. And what's the first signal it sends to your body? We need to eat. Even if you ate like an hour ago. Okay? You ever had a carbohydrate crash? Almost that. You eat a ton of pizza. You're like, yeah, I feel good. An hour later, oh my God, I feel horrible. And I feel like, you feel crummy. And what's interesting is you're hungry again. But you might eat a kilo or 2 pizzas. But you don't have access to all that energy because it got stored in body fat, and with elevated levels of insulin, you cannot access it. That's referred to by a lot of people and in the zone books as carbohydrate hell. Okay? Where you're eating carbs, you're eating a lot of carbs, but you only have access to this much of it at any given time. You store the rest. Well, the problem is that you're running off of sugar, and you've turned the switches on for the organs and muscles to run off of sugar. Well, once they start burning up all that sugar, you're hungry again. What do you have to eat in order to sustain life for the brain? Sugar. Carbs. Okay, so you got to keep doing it, and that's that vicious cycle. And in order to break that cycle, it's very simple. We got to eat balanced. All right, let me grab a wet wipe this time. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, everybody? Yeah. Pretty simple. All right, so what we're aiming to do now with this, leave that, with our diet now, is to optimize the macronutrient breakdown of the foods that we consume by using blocks. Now, if you haven't printed it out yet, okay, is this yours? All right. There's a zone PDF file that I put on Facebook. Okay, you can find this in the CrossFit Journal. You can find it by Google searching it, and if you can't find it, give me your email address and I'll just send it to you. I'll send you the link. You print it and just print it out. Okay. If you guys have got it, go to like the second or third page where it has the block chart that says meal plans. Looks like this. Okay, what they did to make life really easy for us is they essentially classified all the different foods you might eat. Now this isn't an end-all be-all list.
There.
Oh, good, Bear. Good job. What up, guys? This isn't an all-inclusive list, but this is going to start helping you. I actually had this pinned up on my refrigerator, and what I did is I went through and I highlighted the different foods I eat. But what I'm going to show you guys how to do, is one, how to calculate how many blocks you need. If you notice on the first page, the CrossFit Journal just kind of put a very subjective, like, oh, if you're a medium female or a kind of extra large man, you need to be eating this much. Well, how the hell do you know what it is that you are? Okay, there is a way to establish how many blocks you need to eat, and it's based on this. Okay, I'll use myself as an example. Okay, first thing you need to know is your body weight. Okay, I weigh 180 pounds. Okay, I know my body fat percentage is approximately 10%. Okay. First thing we need to establish, and if you don't know how to calculate your body fat percentage, just look it up online. There's simple ways to do it. You know, find something. You can measure your wrist and your waist and do all these different things, and it's accurate within a certain percentage, okay, a certain degree, and that'll serve the purposes that we need it for. You don't need to go jump in the water tank and do the whole submersible thing, unless you really need to know exactly how much you are. Okay, but using this model, if I have 10% of body fat, I weigh 180 pounds, obviously I have 18 pounds of fat on me. Okay? If I subtract 18 from 180, that means my lean body mass without any body fat is 162 pounds. Does everybody see how I did that? Does that make sense? Okay. This number is key. You need to know what your lean body mass is. Now, what becomes subjective is you now need to determine how active you are as a person to determine your protein requirement, which you need to sustain your lean body mass. You need enough to eat enough to sustain what you have. Okay? If you are incredibly active, okay, and I guess we could compare this to CrossFitting. Okay, if you're CrossFitting, you're competitive CrossFitter, let's say. CrossFit, you're probably going to multiply that out by 1.0. Okay? If you're extremely active, by 0.9, let's say active, 0.8. If you're just kind of moderate active. And this is where it gets hard. A lot of us don't know how to classify ourselves. 0.7, 0.6 is kind of hardly active. 0.5, sedentary. Okay? You're going to multiply your lean body mass out by one of these, they call them activity factors. Now, I'm at a 1.0. All right, so obviously, just multiply it by 1.0, I get 162. That is the number of grams of protein that I need to consume on a daily basis to maintain my lean body mass. Okay? Now, once you know that, okay, we're just going to figure out the number of blocks that you need to consume by dividing that by the number of grams of protein in a block. 7 grams, okay? 7 grams puts you at approximately 23 blocks per day.
You say you needed 162 grams to maintain?
To keep my lean body mass. Okay. Now most of us won't need that much, to be honest. Okay. If you guys have never heard my story before, when I moved to North Carolina, I had heard a lot about the zone. I was doing the whole paleo thing and was seeing great success from it, but read enough articles in the journal that got convinced that I will try the zone, and I went super anal and measured everything, which we're going to talk about how to do this. And I ended up consuming, I cut my blocks down to, I think, 17 blocks a day. And when I did that, my body melted. Now I didn't get like scrawny, weak. Every little ounce of body fat that I had disappeared to the point where I got veiny arms. I had veins in my shoulders, veins in my abs, veins in my quads. I was just a walking vein with no body fat. It was incredibly crazy, and I lost 13 pounds in 2 weeks. Okay, when you find that target number, okay, and you're working out really hard, and you're setting the stage for your body to change, and you're doing everything correctly, it happens very quickly. Okay, as long as you're not what they call metabolically deranged, and you've got some sort of issue that's not going to be fixed with just balancing it. It is. Some people just have jacked up bodies. Okay, that doesn't mean that it's an excuse, but some people literally have thyroid problems. Okay, if you know you have a thyroid problem, it better be diagnosed by a doctor, not just you think you have a thyroid problem. Okay? So anyway, back to this. Okay, this is how you would do that. Know your body weight. Figure out your body fat percentage, calculate your lean body mass. Okay, based on an activity factor, you're going to establish how much protein you need to eat, the number of grams of protein. Divide that by 7 to figure out the number of blocks per day that you should consume. Now, over the course of the day, you need to have consumed 23 blocks per day, okay? Now, there's a few key rules with the zone, okay? One is you never eat greater than 5 blocks at any given sitting, okay? You don't eat a 6-block meal, you don't eat a 7-block meal, you only eat 5 blocks meals. That's the biggest, okay? And it doesn't have to be that big, but you don't eat greater than 5 blocks. One, you're going to be eating every 2 to 4 hours. Fair, okay? Fair, and that's pretty much the only thing. Now, if we're going to hypothetically create my day, okay, breakfast, do lunch, dinner, and put snacks in between, we're all going to figure out how to do this. I have to, at the end of the day, total up 23 blocks. So if I had a big breakfast, started off, I like to eat breakfast. 5 blocks for breakfast, 5 blocks for lunch, 5 blocks for dinner, all standard sized meals for the bigger meals of the day. So that puts me at 15. Okay. I still need to make up 7 blocks. Okay. So if I did, let's say a 3-block snack post-workout, then 2-block snack between lunch and dinner, and then after dinner, another 2-block snack. I believe that should end up 23 at the end of the day. 22. Huh? Is that 22? Got that on video too. 23 blocks a day at the end of the day. That's key. Now, using the block chart, okay, this is how you do this. This is how you make your meals. Life is easy on the zone, and it's not hard. Using your block chart, okay, this is our imaginary page, okay, and you've got protein here, carbs here, fats here. It's got a list of like a zillion things, list here of a zillion things, list here of a zillion things. Now, if I'm going to make a breakfast for myself, we'll start with breakfast, okay, and if you guys have a block chart, make sure everyone can see it. Maybe share with the person next to you. We're going to make a 5-block meal for me. Using using that chart. Now, I'm a big fan of eggs. Okay. Now, what that block chart is each one of those selections on there is equivalent to 1 block of in its given category. So if you look at a whole egg, that is 1 block of protein. If you look at, I think it's a half an apple in the carbohydrate section, that's 1 block of carbohydrates. Okay? I think it's a 1/3 cup of oatmeal, something like that, is a block of carbs. So what we're going to do is create a 5-block meal. A 5-block meal is 5 blocks of everything. Okay? Not just 2 blocks of protein, 3 blocks of carbs, 1 block of, or whatever. It's 5 blocks of everything. So let's make up, where am I going to get all my protein from? Somebody throw something out there. Breakfast.
It's going to be a 3 eggs.
3 eggs. All right, so I got 3 eggs. Whole eggs?
Ribeye.
Yeah, whole eggs.
So I got 3 whole eggs. How many blocks of protein is that?
3.
All right, so we got 3 feet. I need more protein. What else am I going to eat?
Bacon.
Huh?
Bacon.
Bacon? Is bacon protein or bacon fat? You sure bacon is fat?
That's
Is it? Bacon bits.
Bacon on there?
Bacon bits, that's all.
I think bacon, they consider bacon a fat. Yeah, I think Canadian bacon's on there. How many slices do I need to get 2 protein? Or
2 ounces.
2 ounces of Canadian bacon.
Some of that does make a difference, whether it's cooked or uncooked too, on how many.
Yeah, and we'll explain some different stuff. Now, this is using their chart, okay, which might be slightly different than what the package says. So we'll go over that in a second. So right now, okay, I've accomplished my protein requirement. I've got 5 blocks of protein. Now I need carbohydrates. Okay, what are we going to eat? And right now, I don't care if it's paleo.
Oh, what happened
It don't have to be paleo. Let's just make a 5-block meal.
just oatmeal?
I need carbs. Oatmeal?
Yeah.
Let's do a cup of oatmeal. How many blocks of carbohydrates is a cup of oatmeal? 3 blocks. So I have 3 carbs. I need 2 more carbs?
How about put peppers in your eggs?
Peppers in my eggs. How much peppers do I need per block?
1 1/4.
1 1/4 cup
Yeah.
peppers. Okay, throw those in my eggs and I'll scramble them. There's a carb. I still need one more carb.
Half an hour.
Huh?
Half an hour.
Half an hour.
Big breakfast.
All right, wait, we're not done. So I got all my carbs. I got 3, 4, 5. All my carbs are good. All right. Now I need my fats. Okay. Depending on how I cook my eggs, I might get all my fats from just the way I cook my eggs. Okay. I love me some butter. Really, I do. So I cook my eggs in butter. Let's get all my fat from butter, just to keep it simple. How much do I need?
A teaspoon.
A teaspoon of butter is 5 blocks of fat.
It's three.
Yeah.
You need more.
I need
1
5 blocks of fat.
2/3 teaspoons.
1 2/3 teaspoon.
Good mathematician.
Yeah. Butter.
Right.
That I'm gonna cook my eggs in. Gives me my 5 fats. Boom. Money. There we go. So there's a balanced breakfast. Now it's a lot of food, okay? But this is for me, not for you, okay? Who might be smaller and doesn't like to eat that big of meals. Okay? I don't mind eating a big breakfast in the morning, and in fact, I enjoy it. And if I don't, I get grouchy and the wads get harder. So you want me to eat a big breakfast. But this is how you do it, okay? And it's really not hard at all, especially if you're using that block schedule. If you're making a 3-block breakfast, you just take 3 protein, 3 fats, 3 carbs, okay? And it can be in any kind of combination that you want. But at the end of the day, you need 3 of each. And at the end of the day, your total blocks for the entire day need to total up to the number of blocks we calculated, okay, for yourself.
Shakes don't make it easier. I try to do it with protein powder, strawberries, blueberries, and milk. And those GNC shakers have built up 2 of those. So that's still a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. So what I have found, because when I start doing zone, is it's important to go through there and highlight things that you like to eat, okay, and kind of start getting an idea of how you can build your meals. I happen to like tuna. Tuna conveniently comes in 5-ounce cans, okay. And yeah, Bryce has been eating tuna since he found the tuna recipe on the nutrition side of the blog.
For 4.5 months now.
So, 5 ounces of tuna equals 5 blocks of protein. Okay, and if you make like a tuna salad, okay, you can throw different vegetables. Mayonnaise is a fat, and you can make a tuna salad. Okay, and if you make it all proportional, look at this. Okay, let's say let's start getting into quantity stuff and bulk stuff. Okay, let's say like you're gonna make a pot of chili. Alright, kill me some chili. Now when you're making the chili, you can make it balanced. Okay, by putting in a proportionate amount of carbs, protein, whatever. Okay, an ounce of beef is what a block. So let's say we use a pound of beef. Right? We use 1 pound beef equals 16 blocks of protein. Now what you start doing is reading labels. Now if you're throwing in canned tomatoes into your your chili, if you're using that 14 point whatever 5-ounce can of tomatoes, read the label. Okay? Read the label. Figure out how much carbs is in there. We know that it's predominantly carbs, right? We know that. If it only has a very small amount of protein, it just gets washed out. Don't even pay attention to it. But just for the sake of this, let's just say it conveniently had 4 blocks of carbohydrates. So if I use 2 cans of tuna or tomatoes, I've got 8 carbs, and then I throw some onions in there, and I throw some peppers in there, and I start building it proportional. Okay, so at the end in my pot, I've got 16 of everything. Okay, now what makes this nice is if you spoon a ladle or 2 of your chili and throw it in a Tupperware and bring it to work. If you have a general idea how much you put in there, you can pretty much you know that it's balanced. Okay. And now we just got to figure out how much you're consuming, whether that's 3 blocks or 5 blocks, 4 blocks or whatever, okay? And that's how you start building things in bulk and being very strategic with how you eat. Chicken breasts, when they come in the 3-packs, are usually like 1 pound to 1.3 pounds. Do the math. That's about was it 24 blocks, something like that, and 8 ounces per chicken breast. Cut it in half. You got 4-ounce chicken breast. There's 4 blocks of protein. So if you grill up a bunch of chicken breasts and you cut them all in half, you've got 4 blocks of protein. You can chop them up, throw them in salad. You can chop them up, mix them with mayonnaise, make chicken salad. You can eat them just regular. You can marinate them. You can do whatever with them.
One thing I think is important to point out is about lean meat.
Right.
You get lean meat, you need to double your fat. Roughly.
I wouldn't get you to a certain degree, and if you read into these blocks, try not to over-classify things. The only thing that gets double counted as anything are dairy products, which are considered a protein and a carb. Okay, generally. Now, if you're confused, start reading labels. Like if you ever go out to the Walgreens or whatever, and you buy a protein bar, all right, and let's say your protein bar's got 30 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbs. We know that there's 7 grams of protein. That's approximately 4 protein. It's approximately 1 carbohydrate. Okay, and let's just say, for the sake, it just didn't have any fat in it. Okay. Well, if we're going to eat that protein bar we just ate, we're concerned about the balance. Okay, we got obviously 4 protein, 1 carb. Well, we need to add in 3 carbohydrates. So you might want to eat an apple with that. You get at least 2 blocks from an apple, or something. Just use your chart and pick something, and have it on hand, and you can start building meals that way. It's really not that complicated. Now, with the challenge that we're going to do, okay, it's your guys' homework. Figure out how many blocks that you need to consume per day. Okay? And then what you need to do for the homework is this. Okay? The way this challenge is going to work, okay, we're going to do this on a point system. Okay? You're going to keep a food log. Okay? If you want to be included in this, and I would. Okay, because there's a lot of accountability factors. You're going to keep a food log, okay, and start balancing your meals based on the number of blocks per day you think you should consume. And if you need some help, meet with me during the week and I'll try to help you figure out approximately how many you should consume. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to start testing waters. Okay, if you think you should eat 12 blocks a day and your goal is to lose a little bit of weight, and you stay on 12 blocks a day for 2 weeks and you haven't lost anything, well, we probably need to manipulate that a little bit. Okay? So you're going to keep a food log and you're going to turn it in weekly. Okay? Huh? Turn it in weekly. And when you do that, just for turning it in, you get 3 points. Okay? If you turn it in and you're balanced, okay, 6 points. It's a balanced food journal. If you want to get 9 points, it's balanced and it's paleo. Now here's the thing. Paleo requirements for us paleo nuts, okay, on the zone is to be 80% paleo overall. Okay? And we're looking pretty much at carbs. Okay? It is really hard to get most of your carbohydrates, I found, eating 100% paleo, because you have to eat so many vegetables. Just look on there real quick. Let's say you're going to get all of your carbohydrates from spinach. Okay? Look at how much spinach you have to eat. It's going to take a 5-block. Yeah, a suitcase literally full of spinach just to get your blocks. So it becomes very difficult to get all of your carbohydrates from just fruits and vegetables. Okay, you can do it and it's possible. It's definitely possible. Okay, it's just hard. So my requirement to you, and you can take this however you want, is just be 80% paleo. Okay, so 80% of your blocks need to be paleo food choices. Okay, so if we're looking at your carbs, and I'm going to add these up, 80% of it. You need to eat 20 blocks, 16 of that should be paleo food choices. Fruits and veggies, another 4 blocks a day. Huh?
I can eat cheese.
You eat cheese. Hell yeah. So anyway, if you do the zone paleo thing and it's 80% or above, you get 9 points, okay? For every WOD you come to per week, you get 1 point.
What about double days?
Double days don't count.
That's not fair.
Okay? You can get a max
Double days.
of 6 points a week.
What if I bring receipts for wads out of town?
What's the 6 points
That's
a
fine.
week?
It's maximum of 6 points a week, 1 point per WOD. Okay, you can only get 1 point per day. Even if you come in 3 times a day, that's cool. That's 1 point. That's awesome.
Congratulations to you.
Okay, congrats. You know, it's just to make sure that we're staying on top of our training, obviously, as well. What I want you guys to do is establish a 30-day goal. Okay, now everybody's goal is going to be different, obviously, based on their goals. Okay, and obviously at the end of 60 days, what is your goal? 30-day goal and 60-day goal. Okay, if after the 30-day goals, let's say, you know, in 30 days you're like, I would really love to lose 6 pounds. Awesome goal. And that's reasonable too. 6 pounds, 30 days? Sure. Okay? If you hit and exceed that and meet that goal, okay, that's 20 points. Okay? If you hit your 60-day goal, which obviously I want it to be better than your 30-day goal, not the same one. Okay? We're gonna get 30 additional points. Okay? That's how that works. Your goals can be anything. I don't care what they are. Okay, but don't make it something silly.
That sound doesn't count.
Oh, that's how the scoring's going, right?
It's hard. We can get there.
I don't care how you turn in your journals. You can send them to me in email. You can send them to me on Facebook email. You can bring them in and physically give them to me. But turn them in each week, okay? And I want to look over. I want to check the balance, okay? I want to see that you're doing it right. If you don't do it right, it doesn't matter. You're still going to get points, okay? And I'm going to help you because I want to show you guys how to do this. Because it really does work, okay? The paleo will get you real far, just eating paleo alone. But we can be very specific now and control things very precisely if we balance it. That's taking it the next step. And if you do it right, like I told you, it's magic. It literally is. Your body will do things you didn't think you could do, and this will really help you guys get you to where you want to be. All right? Who has questions about anything?
I just want to clarify something. I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm just going to ask. So, for instance, let's say in one of our blocks for breakfast, we short ourselves 2 blocks of carbs for whatever reason. We don't make that up rest of the day. It's either then or nothing, correct?
Right.
I knew that when I wanted to do that.
That's the way I would do it.
That's
Fair. Yeah. I wouldn't, like, let's say, you know, you're supposed to eat 3-block breakfast. You only eat 3 blocks of protein and 1 block of carbs.
No binging.
For lunch, I wouldn't eat 5 blocks of carbs and 2 blocks of, or 3 blocks of protein to make up the difference.
Mess up the balance.
Huh?
Mess up the balance.
It will, yeah, because here's the thing. If you go off the wagon for 1 meal, your next opportunity to put yourself back into the zone is the very next time you eat. Okay? So if you fall off the wagon and you have a crazy Friday night and you pound a bunch of beers and you feel like shit, well, the next morning you wake up.
I'm with you, brother.
Okay? You can get yourself back on track. Okay? Now, depending on how serious you are about your goals, that's going to depend on how much, you know, give and take you want in this whole challenge. You know, if you're not necessarily, you just want to do it for the long-term effects, and you know, you just want to do it kind of, you know, half-assed, and that's fine. If you know you want to be real serious about it, and really see what can happen, be real serious about it, man. Be the almond counter. Count your almonds. I did it. I was a nerd, man. I counted out 12 almonds, 4 blocks. There you go. And I would measure my olive oil. I went out and bought one of those little food scales. Okay. They're like $20. You can get them at Target and in different places. Just keep it on the counter where you meet, you know. And honestly, after you do it, literally, it's probably no longer than a week, maybe 2 weeks for some of you. If you start to really know what it looks like, you know. I keep you know, when I eat oatmeal, and I still eat oatmeal, you know, I will keep the little 1/3 cup thing just in my oatmeal. You know, just scoop it out, throw it in the pot. That way I'm making my life simpler. So I'm always, you know, doing everything by blocks.
Isn't there like a, not fingers, but palm rule for meat?
Yeah, if you're out to eat, they say generally something the thickness of your hand and palm only is about 5 blocks worth of meat. Okay, approximately.
A third of the steak.
You know, and the zone, if you're out to eat, okay, a third of your plate should be protein, meat. The rest of it should be vegetables. Okay.
The easy way I found to do that, being on the road a lot, is going to lunch, going to a Mexican restaurant and get fajitas without any tortillas, no rice, no beans. And
Peppers, onions, and
you get a little extra guacamole.
Yeah, there you go. Now here's an interesting thing. I want you guys to know about it, but I don't want you to take advantage of it. When you consume fat, okay, there is no response hormonally from the body. The body doesn't produce insulin, it doesn't produce glucagon, it doesn't do anything. Unless you eat just too much, okay, just too much in any given sitting, then you're going to have to deal with an excessive amount of food. The body will produce insulin and store it. Okay? So that's why we don't eat greater than 5 blocks. 1 block is approximately 100 calories, just so you know. So if you're looking at the diet, all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm only supposed to eat 17 blocks. That's kind of a restricted calorie diet. Yeah, it is. But what's nice is that it's balanced. You're not going to feel hungry. If you feel hungry, you can up the fat block just a little bit. Okay, maybe a block or 2 per meal to just deal with the hunger aspect of it. But I would probably make sure that the fats are like avocados, almonds, olive oil, like good or better fats. Whatever.
2 questions. First one is on this goal thing. If you're implying that we're probably going to lose weight, well, we're not necessarily going to lose weight.
No, you don't have to. Here's the thing.
Because I mean, since
like
Christmas,
it's
I've put
not
on
meant.
15 pounds.
Here's the thing. When we say diet, it's not meant to lose weight. Okay, it's meant to make your body function the way it should.
So it's a performance.
Performance. That is ultimately the key.
All right.
Okay, your body's going to work the way it's designed to work. If it needs to shed body fat percentage in order to work optimally, it will.
When we started the zone stuff before, I was freaking out because like after a month, I'm like, I've lost weight. What the hell? Came in here, did the measurements. I lost 9 pounds of fat and gained 4 pounds of muscle. I went from 11% down to about 3% body.
Well, I don't even know how to gauge what to lose or for a goal.
For a challenge?
Yeah,
For a goal?
For a goal.
Maybe the goal is not to lose any weight at all, just to eat balanced. You know, because if you're eating balanced too, your body's going to start running off the correct energy source. Okay? You'll notice that you have more energy throughout the day. Okay? You'll feel better. You know, when you sleep, you're going to produce more growth hormone. You're going to recover quicker from your WODs. Like there's a lot of benefits to eating balanced because you're setting the stage for all the things that you want to happen. Now, when I lost weight, I wasn't trying to lose weight. I just lost weight. And then what I started doing is I started upping my blocks, and I built myself up to 180 again. You know, it's not a difficult thing. You start playing with it. You got to figure out how does your body react. You know.